Hello, my name is Artasasta, student number 2301851995, and I come from the Department of International Relations. Ever since the first time we were given information about the streaming of international relations studies back in the orientation, the only streaming that caught my attention was the MNC study. I have never ever had the thoughts of working with the government. I've always wanted to work with the private firm, and after this I'm planning to work at private firms. I have actually got an internship at a multinational corporation, and this course had helped me a lot. This course has been a big help for me in understanding what an MNC is and how they work. So they give me a lot of insight about the MNC, which I am very eager to work with. Now, when we talk about CSR, we cannot rule out the theory proposed by Michael Porter, or the theory of CSV, or the common shared value. What is it? Before we try to understand what CSV is, we need to understand its grassroots, where it came from, how Michael Porter came up with such idea. Now, it all began with the fear of globalization. People were scared of globalization because globalization encourages capitalism, and as we know, capitalism hasn't got quite a good image in front of the people, because it only allows the rich to get even richer while it keeps the poor in poverty. So people didn't really like that idea. But Michael Porter came up with a smart solution in order to make capitalism good again. It's called the CSV. CSV is the way of incorporating business activity and social responsibility into one business strategy. They become integrated so that companies can run their businesses while being sensible and responsible to the society and the environment. Now, Michael Porter emphasizes two key ideas of CSV: focusing on stakeholders and refocusing investment. MNCs must focus on their stakeholders. But why? Because stakeholders, they engage in every MNC's value chain sequence. Now, there are two types of stakeholders: internal and external. Internal stakeholders, as the name implies, are the stakeholders within the MNC. They can be shareholders who hold the investment of the MNC, and the employee, who obviously keeps the business running, keeps the MNC running. And therefore it's very important for MNCs to pay attention, to focus to the employee and the shareholders in order to keep their business efficient and effective. Now, who are the external stakeholders? They are society, they are the government. Now, when you engage to a host country, you will encounter a different culture, society and political environment. For example, the political environment here in Indonesia is completely different with the political environment in China, and also our culture, our society will be different with Thailand or Vietnam. Therefore, MNCs need to pay attention to this and adjust their strategy that works best with the society. MNCs also need to refocus their investment. They need to allocate their investments, not only focusing in making profits for their own, but also in other purposes. And in this CSR context, they need to allocate their investment in societal and environmental purposes. But here's the problem. If I were a company, why would I spend my investment, my money, my time, my resources into societal and environmental matters, what good will they bring to me? Wouldn't it be just a waste of time and money and resources? No. Michael Porter emphasizes that in implementing a CSR program, nothing will be sacrificed, both intentionally or unintentionally. For instance, if I were a company, I would try to implement a CSR program for the environment. So I would start by making my products more eco-friendly, starting with the packaging, making it more eco-friendly, using more eco-friendly materials. It would cost me more to make the product because it's more expensive to use a eco-friendly material, and in the end it would drive the price higher and customers would pay a lot more than usual. In the end, I achieved the CSR program because I've made a more eco-friendly product, but at the cost of the customer having to pay more for my product, and therefore the customer is sacrificed here. But the theory of CSV by Michael Porter fixes this. How? Instead of charging my customer more, I would just pay for the packaging through subsidy. But still, what good will it bring to me? With a more eco-friendly packaging, more eco-friendly product, I would get better brand image, and my brand would be seen by more people as an eco-friendly brand, therefore making my product a lot better than other products. Now, in the activities of MNC, we reckon two actors: market actors and non-market actors. Who are the market actors? They are the people who are involved in the commercial activity. This includes creating new products, engaging with customers, managing financials, or expanding new markets, and etc. etc. Anything that is related to the profit or loss activity. And who are the non-markets? Non-market actors are basically people outside the company. They can be government or society. Now, why are they considered important by MNCs? Well, basically government, they make the rules, they make the policy which MNCs are obliged to comply with. So if they manage to have a good engagement with the government, they can have a more easy policy on them, and hence it would make their operation a lot easier. While society holds also a very important role. If society decides an MNC disturbs the economic life of that area, they are more than rightful to evict that MNC. Means that MNC cannot no longer operate in that area. Now, having learned about CSV and CSR, comes up a question. What do they have to do with SDGs and good governance? Well, before we get into that part, firstly we need to know what SDGs and good governance are. What are they? SDGs, or the Sustainable Development Goals, are the set of goals set by the UN through the UNGA in 2015. It basically contains the goals of an ideal and more sustainable world, the world which has less poverty, less famine, less crime, less pollution, the world which has more access to healthcare, more access to education, more access to jobs, more access to clean water and sanitation, the world with better and cleaner environment. That is SDGs. But what does it have to do with CSR? Well, according to the CSV, companies must add value to the society and the environment, and CSR is the way for MNCs to help the world in gaining that SDGs. Now we move on to good governance. Good governance. What is good governance? Good governance is a government which was created properly, which was run properly. It is basically a government that is clean and free of corruption. Now, when we talk about the relationship between MNCs and government, it is very, very vulnerable for corruption to happen. It is because the intertwining interest between the MNC and the government, which will lead to MNCs in bribing the government. And this is why anti-corruption is a very important topic when we talk about MNCs. In the past 6 months, or I can say 1 year, because I've been given lecture from the same lecturer for 2 semesters, it has been a blast. I have learned quite a lot about MNCs, how they work, and luckily I had what I think one of the best lecturers in this topic, because Mr. Roseno seems like he really knows what he's talking about. He's really passionate about MNCs, how they operate, how big they are. He has quite the idea, and it has been fantastic to have him as a lecturer. Well, I honestly don't see any room for improvement in his class, because it, in my opinion, has been a flawless lecture throughout the semester and even the previous semester. If anything I could add up, actually, probably more video learning, because watching him in the video explaining about MNCs is very useful to use the information. Thank you.